John likes tech and lives in Indiana, you know. Kevin likes the Dodgers and talks on the radio. John plays games on Xbox and on his Nintendo, while Kevin runs around LA with his mustachio. It's the Lack of Genius podcast, in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast. I feel like we have a guest today, John. It's good to see you, John.
Yeah, likewise. It's been a week or two.
I've been away at summer camp.
Yeah.
So John and I feel like we haven't talked in forever, and we literally have a guest on that neither of us have talked to except me through a few texts and emails. But Krieger is on with us, and Krieger is I'm going to go ahead and just call you a master of all things Quidditch related. That's who we got. Krieger, instead of me talking a whole bunch, I'll just say hello to you and tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? How did you get involved with Quidditch? What is your knowledge base on that?
Hello, yes, my name is Krieger. I'm originally from Oceanside, which is North San Diego County. The way I got into Quidditch actually was back in high school. Me and some of my friends were going to UCLA our senior year. We'd already accepted and found out there was a Quidditch team there. And talked about we were giving each other positions ahead of time, not actually knowing anything about the sport itself, just based off Harry Potter. And then it came around where we actually went to school there, and two of them tried it maybe once. My good friend Lauren was in it from the beginning, really into it, and I was iffy for a while, just going to practice every now and then the first year, and then the second year I was in. So let's see, that was 2014 was my first competitive year playing Quidditch. So now almost 8 years I've been playing. Played for club teams, college teams, and now I actually coach UCLA.
Amazing. And you're probably dropping some knowledge that some of our listeners maybe didn't even know, that there are even club and college teams for Quidditch. And you're currently the coach of UCLA's, is it technically a club team or is it a...
Yeah, so they're a college team, so I coach UCLA Quidditch, and then I play for a club team in LA called the Lost Boys Quidditch Club.
Wow. And so does the Lost Boys Quidditch Club play against other regional teams? Is it all Southern California based? What is the competition? Who do you play?
Yeah, so we play, there's a governing body called USQ, that runs regionals and nationals across the country. So we play generally throughout the year, people in our region, sometimes out of region teams, depending on if we travel for tournaments or they travel here. And then we go to a regionals, that's mainly just teams in our region, and then compete at nationals, which is qualifying teams from across the country.
Do you have T-shirts for sale, merchandise for the Lost Boys Quidditch Club? I would rep them proudly.
My roommate Lindsay, who is the captain and marketing genius for Lost Boys, has plenty of merch.
That's great. I would yes, A, I would love to see you play, but B, I would wear it even if I didn't, and I would just be a poser and be like, yeah, I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
Anything we could do to get the word out, I would love it.
The funny thing is that, we're recording this on July 31st. I honestly, I've seen the Harry Potter movies. I've read enough of one book to know who it was that died when the book first came out, so I could spoil it for people if I wanted to, because I'm that person. But today is supposedly Harry Potter's birthday. So of all days for us to record Quidditch.
Yes, we drew it up that way, John. Let's not pretend like it's a coincidence. We planned this from day one.
Definitely, 100%.
Full disclosure, I don't think I've read a full Harry Potter book. Now, I have seen several of the movies. I one time was at a park and there was a Quidditch group playing, and I was so enthralled by it. And I love sports. I'm a little old now, but I was pretty athletic back in my day. And so I don't know who has the advantage on this between John and I, because it sounds like both of us are a little bit out of the know. Do you agree with that, John?
Probably.
And B, just sort of as a question to you, what drew you to Quidditch? Was it more the athleticism? Was it more, are you a big Harry Potter fan? Is it safe to assume that? How does that all line up?
So initially the draw was Harry Potter. I was a huge fan growing up, but I also played football growing up. Oh, cool. And when I got into Quidditch and started playing it, I was I was in it for the physicality and the actual sport of it all. And there's plenty of people that play. Some of them are huge Harry Potter fans. One of my other roommates who plays with us has never seen an entire movie or read the books, but has been playing for years. The founder of UCLA Quidditch is actually didn't read all the books and watch all the movies. He just knew a friend that started it back on the East Coast and was like, oh, this looks fun. I want to bring it to UCLA. So like there's a lot of like intersecting things, but like you don't need to know Quidditch or like be into the Harry Potter aspect of it to be into it. And like the sport itself is nothing like the ones in the books, right? It's a magical sport originally with like all these things happening. So obviously they can't be close to it. So
you're saying we can't actually fly? Is that what you're saying? That's not part of the sport, is what you're saying?
Not on brooms.
Unfortunately, no.
Not on brooms.
Yeah, there's some sick dunks though, where people are jumping in the air. So.
Oh, nice. We're gonna have to get a highlight reel going. That's fantastic.
Tidy up before we go any further with the show. Tidy up before we go fix our mistakes tonight. I wanna get it right. Tidy up.
Krieger, I don't know if you're a music fan. I feel like sometimes that's just everyone's a music fan, so like what, I don't even want to ask that question. But part of why I ask is because when we do this tidy up section, we basically are tidying up mistakes that we maybe made in the previous episode, which our previous episode was on one-hit wonders, and we were perfect. We didn't get anything wrong, so we have nothing actually to tidy up. But I just wonder, like for you, for where you're coming from, when you hear the word one-hit wonders, what comes to mind? What song, what artist?
Oh, one-hit wonders. I ran so far away, but I think it was like Flock of Seagulls.
Flock of Seagulls, yes.
And then I think like part of me feels like Shaggy, It Wasn't Me, but I know he did kind of have more songs.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be at a music festival I'm going to actually, where I was like, wait, what? Shaggy's still performing?
He's had a reprisal, a comeback. He did that Little Mermaid. He was the lobster, Sebastian. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's funny because, we don't need to get into the whole thing right now, but there is a difference between sort of a literal definition of a one-hit wonder, which Shaggy may not fit that, but a cultural definition, I definitely consider Shaggy a one-hit wonder. It's like he sort of came up, had that big hit, and everyone still knows it today. So yeah. Great choice. The one thing we will tidy up. Sometimes we do business-related things. John, do you want to lead us into this, and I'll kind of follow up?
Yeah. So I know at least one person has noticed. But others may have noticed that our social media presence has dwindled a little bit, and that's mainly just because of life. Yeah. Life is busy. So Kevin and I have been talking, and if there happens to be someone that wants to volunteer to be our social media guru, we will provide stuff to you, and you post it. It's about as simple as that, I think.
We will give you all of our passwords. We'll give you our ATM pins. We'll give you our social security numbers. Echoing what John said. John's got a newborn at home. He's got a house that congratulations, John, on a refurbished kitchen, I believe. I don't know if that's the right word.
It's not completely done, but we're getting closer.
John's busy. I have personal reasons that I'm not on social media. I sometimes peek on there, but I'm not on there very often. So a helping hand would be awesome. I don't know if we can like legally call it an internship, but we take it as maybe if somebody wants to flex their skills of social media, how to reach us on the various social medias and on our email, lackofgenius@gmail.com is probably our email. I don't know.
It's time to take a quiz or two. Lack of Genius podcast doing this for you. You may fail, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time. Don't really want this quiz to be tough. I just want to pass one cause I failed enough. It might sound crazy, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time.
Were you an NSYNC fan or a Backstreet Boys guy, Krieger?
Well, my sister was a huge NSYNC fan growing up, so I feel like just by proxy, I was as
proxy.
well.
That's kind of funny because I think I have that same answer for Backstreet Boys. My sister was a Backstreet Boys gal, and so so I just kind of have and there was a guy named Kevin in that group, so I'm like, all right, that's my name, so
makes sense.
But until our boy band episode happens, we can pause that, and we'll move into Quidditch, where our expert UCLA coach for the Quidditch Club team, Krieger, and team member of the Lost Boys. What is it again? Lost Boys Quidditch Club?
Lost Boys Quidditch Club. Yep.
All right. Is here to quiz us, 5-question quiz about Quidditch. So I'll let you kind of take the reins, Krieger, and we'll just follow your lead.
Sounds good. So I felt like it just makes sense for this to be the first question. The sport is actually not going by Quidditch anymore as of, I think, a few days ago, not even a week yet.
This is fresh. This is hot off the presses.
Yep. The sport formerly known as Quidditch has now rebranded. What is it known as?
Is it just a symbol?
Is it the Prince symbol? It's the Prince symbol, isn't it?
That'd be great.
All right. What are our choices here?
All right. We got A, Quid Ball, B, Quid Strike, C, Quad Ball, and D, Quadder.
Oh my gosh. I have no clue. That's amazing. I assume there will be follow-up to this, so I'll hold off on a question. But let me hear those choices again. It's can you just read them off again for us?
Yeah. So Quid Ball, Quid Strike, Quad Ball, and Quadder.
I'm thinking A, Quid Ball.
I know Quid Ball sounds so okay. Quid Ball sounds like a solid choice, right? Like if it was called that, I'd be okay with that. But it also sounds like a good choice to make up if you needed to make up a choice. So I don't know. Quid Strike. That is solid too. That's got a certain badassness to it, for lack of better words. Are you gonna choose Quid Ball, John?
Yep, I am.
I'm gonna go with Quid Strike because I kind of want it to be Quid Strike. So there we go. How do we do?
All right. Unfortunately, both of y'all are wrong. Although those were, it's Quad Ball.
Quad Ball. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now I need to hear about.
That
all
reminds
of
me
this.
of Foursquare.
It does kind of remind me of Foursquare. Yeah, it does. So what was the thought process behind this? Why did this come up? Is it controversial? Is it accepted?
There are a couple primary reasons why the name change happened. One of them was that like we kind of want to distance ourselves from J.K. Rowling. Seems like she just kind of has like some not really the best views, and just like that, like not even the original 3 cast members agree with. But another huge part of it was that Quidditch is trademarked. Like it's owned by Warner Brothers, by I guess like and by proxy J.K. Rowling, and we're like we can't make money off of this. Like if we want to try to grow, if we want to try and like get sponsorships, get on TV, we can't because there's just the worry of being sued. Mm-hmm. So Quid Ball and Quid Strike were official options when they sent out the fan survey of like which do you think, like community survey of like which do you think is best. I personally was on the Quid Ball train, but it ended up going with Quad Ball, I think, for multiple reasons. One, it's a little more different from the original Quidditch, so like legally it's safer. But also it refers to the 4 positions: chaser, beater, keeper, seeker, names that may also change in the coming up soon. And the 4 balls that are used at the same time on pitch, there's 3 bludgers and 1 quaffle. So it at least ties into the sport.
And are all of those terms that you mentioned, are they all part of the book right now, and that's why they might all be changed too?
Yeah, especially things like snitch and bludger, I think, and quaffle might be the more difficult ones. But since that's happened, there's going to be Quad Ball now on ESPN The Ocho.
Yes,
in August,
which is the best network to be spawned from a movie just as a joke. I can't believe they actually did that. That is so fantastic.
Yeah, and also recently was on CBS in Boston. A local match out there was awesome. So literally within a couple weeks, we were able to be like, okay, we can be on air, like we can be on TV and like spread the word. Other sports on there are going to be like. Pickleball's on there, corgi racing. There's a lot of fun like
corgi racing. Oh my gosh,
corgi racing's up.
Please
there.
tell me in corgi racing they put a little like fake cowboy or something on their back and let them run. That's what I want to see.
I think that would be hilarious.
No, not cowboys. You got little dolls of the Queen.
There you go. Yes, thank you, John. This is why we need you in the room at all times. That's great.
Also, just remember, Kevin.
Yes,
snitches get stitches.
Yes, this is true.
The snitch is a pretty rough position. Actually, they're usually a big wrestler type, like a lot of physicality.
There you go. So if someone were to get stitches, it would indeed be the snitch is. Very nice. Very nice. Well, we both missed that question. And of course, if you have more, go ahead. But if you're ready for number 2, we're ready for you. But we both missed that question. And of course, if you have more, go ahead. But if you're ready for number 2, we're ready for you.
All right. Number 2. How many different teams participated in the most recent World Cup in 2018? 16, 23, 29, or 35?
Wow.
So a quick question here. Does this go like NFL playoffs, or is this more like actual World Cup playoffs where you have round robins that then feed into a playoff?
It's so the World Cup it's open-ended. So any national team that can field the team and qualifies can go to World Cup to participate. And then when they're there, it does do like a round robin to bracket type situation.
Okay.
Gotcha. And when did this happen? This just happened?
The most recent one, it was 2018. It's been kind of pushed back a bit because of COVID.
Got it. 16, 23, 29, or 35, correct?
Yeah.
Oh boy. John, what do you think?
I'm going to go with 23.
I'm going to choose the big one. I'm going to choose the 35. John, you're sticking with 23, right?
Yep.
All right. Did either of us get it?
Nah, unfortunately not.
We are proving our lack of genius, aren't we?
We are.
Y'all went on just on the outsides of what it actually was. It's 29.
29. Amazing. 29
Yep.
different countries, correct?
29 different countries. Well, country depending on who you ask. Like Hong Kong, there was a team Hong Kong. There also was a team Taiwan, which again, I think is a country, but other people might not. And there's also, I think, a team Catalonia, which is like a specific region in Spain, because there was a team Spain and a team Catalonia specifically. But yeah, I've yet to go to a World Cup. Hopefully, I think the next one is slated to be in Richmond, Virginia.
Cool.
I think pushed back to next year, if I'm correct. So like even if I don't end up playing, I would love to just go there and watch. It could be some really high level Quidditch. Quad ball, I guess it would be there.
Quad ball, I know.
Yeah.
It's gonna take some getting used to. It's funny because I was thinking about I play Ultimate Frisbee, and we've done episodes on Ultimate Frisbee, and
Just
even
Ultimate.
even me calling it Ultimate Frisbee right now is incorrect. It's a disc, and I support the American Ultimate Disc League. It's not Frisbee League, and I can't tell you how many times I'm not anything special. I just play pickup games and things, but how many times people call it the ball? Oh, go get the ball, throw the ball in, and so I can only imagine with Quid Ball. How with the changes of names, it's going to take years to quad ball. Yes, what did I say? Quid ball. Whatever. There's going to be frisbees on the field for quid ball and quid strike and quad ball. It's whatever. That's all.
It's going to take a lot.
All right. Well, we are off to an 0-for-2 start. Are you ready to give us number 3 and see how bad we can do?
Yeah, well, let's see. All right, so while we're on the topic of World Cup, who is the only other country besides the U.S. to have won a World Cup? We have Australia, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Vietnam.
Those are great choices. Who else besides? So the U.S. has won quite a few, it sounds like. And so who else has won? Australia, UK, Canada, or Vietnam? Those are they run the gamut there. Vietnam stands out to me as very different, as a very out of the blue choice, which almost makes me want to pick it. But I will say Canada came to mind, and when you said Australia, I'm like, oh yeah, this sounds like an Australian thing, doesn't it? So I don't know. I'm not sure yet. What are you thinking, John?
I mean, the fact that he said, the Snitches are more your wrestling type. I'm going to go with Australia. They've got good rugby players, so I could see that kind of switching over.
That's true. That reminds me that I'm curious what kind of athlete would venture into quad ball. We can get into that. So you're going to choose Australia. I think just because I made mention of it, I'm going to choose Vietnam and just see if my gut was right. All right. So what do we got?
The correct answer is Australia.
Oh, John, taking the lead, and I'm falling behind quickly. So U.S. sounds like a powerhouse in this sport, or is it just purely based off of participation, or are they that good?
It's really like the big part of it is that the sport was started in the U.S.
Gotcha.
Like we have dozens of teams in the U.S. alone, whereas like a lot of countries like haven't had the same amount of development and time with the sport. So like we just have the biggest population to pull from of players. people who like actively play the game. And so the Snitches are actually not players. They're like, you know how the golden snitches, you catch it. So the snitch in quad ball is somebody with like a weighted flag attached to their back, like similar to like a flag football. And the seekers have to try to catch that.
Got it.
And so that's why these snitches are usually big physical people pushing people around. But like John said, Australia has some big players. And that's really useful for chasers who try to score. It's like rugby. There is tackling involved. It is a full contact sport. So part of it is if you can have those big bodies, can have people that are more physical, it does help your game.
So does it kind of run the gamut then? Because I also think about like, are you going to have kind of maybe more, I don't know if slender is the right word, but faster sort of slender people for different positions and then kind of bigger people for
Kevin just wants to know what position he can play.
I am curious. Yeah. I would like to know. I'm far from slender anymore, but yeah, like does it run the gamut? Do you get all body shapes and sizes come into play?
Definitely. I would say there's people from lots of different sports backgrounds and body types. We have people that come into quad ball with no experience in team sports. We have people that have played soccer, people that have played football, people that have just like ran track. And it's really, there's a spot for anyone in their play style. Like, sure, it helps to have like big physical people, but also helps to have really fast and agile people. And it's like your team will figure out what their strengths are and how to work with it. Especially once you throw beating into the game, which is the beaters are positions that use dodgeballs to knock people out. So like you have like dodgeball players would be great with that. Or people like I've seen people that used to play baseball that just have really good arms for just an accuracy. So there really is space for everybody.
My mind is going crazy right now because I'm like, I want to play, but I'm not that because I played dodgeball. Man, John, we've done all the sport. You just mentioned all the sports that we've done episodes on. We did an episode on Ultimate. We did an episode on rugby. We did an episode on dodgeball. So we're in the right wheelhouse here.
And we've kind of done an episode on baseball.
Yeah, you're right. We have on my favorite team, and we did one from Wrigley Field. And yes, so we're in the right wheelhouse for sure. If someone's listening to this right now, like, what is the best way to get involved right now? Is it just Google the word quad ball /Quidditch and local and see what comes up?
Yeah, so I think the easiest thing to truly would be checking the US quad ball website or just searching Quidditch /quad ball on like Instagram or Facebook to see what pops up near you. There are teams across the country, like in LA, there's Lost Boys. There's a few teams in the Bay Area. Some teams in like Texas is a powerhouse. Unsurprisingly, I think if I was talking about physicality, Texas has pumped out some really good teams. The East Coast, since that's where it started, there's a lot of teams on the East Coast. And because they're such close together states, so much easier for them to like travel and to like get to tournaments as opposed to like the West, like we have to travel. There is a team called Anteaters Forever based off of UCI, the Anteaters. So this is a club team that has like a lot of graduates, but there's like two teams in SoCal, whereas there's like 3, 4, 5, who knows how many in the Boston area on the East Coast. Like,
well, very nice. We're 3 questions in. John's got a 1-point lead on me, going 1 for 3, and we'll see what happens on number 4.
Alrighty, so this is a true/false question. Quad ball players are differentiated by their assigned 6 at birth in the rule book. True or false?
Ooh. Okay, say that one more time just to make sure I understand.
Quad ball players are differentiated by their assigned 6 at birth in the rule book. True or false?
I would have to assume that's probably false. Because I feel like if they were only differentiated, because I guess sort of you could rephrase that question as, are players only differentiated as male or female? And I would guess that that's probably not the case, and that maybe in fact those 2 genders are maybe not even mentioned at all. Like maybe gender is just something that doesn't even exist in the rule book. I don't know. It could be any number of things, but that's why just those possibilities lead me towards thinking that might be false. What do you think, John? I'm going to choose false.
Yeah, false.
All right. How do we do?
Correct.
Yay! That is very cool. Tell us about this. I'd love to learn more.
Yeah, so as John mentioned, looking through, it is a co-ed sport. Players of all genders are welcome to play, and the only way that your gender is differentiated by is how you identify. So it's like I'm non-binary, so that is like what my gender is when I play. And the reason why that does matter is that in the rule book there is a max for gender. So it's a 4-player max. So you can only have 4 players on the field at a time of the same gender. So you can't just like run a team of all women. You can't run a team of all men. You have to have some of that inclusive. Like you have to work with your team to have that balance to use different people.
Can you run a team of all non-binary?
Yeah, I had that same question. Technically, does that come up?
It hasn't come up. I have had somebody bring up that they did have a line once, a line of 6 people of all different genders, because while some people were non-binary, they were a specific, like, their non-binary is a very umbrella term. So like there are some people that are gender fluid, some people that are agender. But theoretically, if you found like 4 agender people specifically, you can't have a 5th. Like if that is how they specifically identify. Theoretically, I suppose you could get 6 non-binary umbrella term people. But
yes,
I mean, I would love to see a team find enough of that representation to even attempt to do that.
Be a good problem to run into. Be a good problem to run into.
But so far has not been something I've seen.
Yeah, well, round of applause for the sport of quad ball, just because I love that this is something that is because we all know especially if we go to the highest level, like you go to the Olympics. I know there's a lot of controversy around gender, and it's nice to see that a sport in its early development is already kind of having these guidelines and being inclusive, and I love that. I love to hear that. I'm so glad you shared that question.
Yeah, it's I think like I said before, the inclusivity is like a huge draw. That like that you're going to be working with people of at least usually a similar mindset of that inclusivity and really the sportsmanship of it. So,
yeah, sometimes I know I keep bringing up Ultimate, but that's been one of my draws to it, is that there's sort of a general vibe of good sportsmanship, good attitudes, kind of playing fair, playing with integrity. And it's probably a different level. I'm sure all sports are a different level, but I love the athleticism of any sport, but when that attitude, when good positive attitudes and inclusivity and whatnot all exist, that's even a bigger draw. So yeah, I'm checking out some Lost Boys merchandise. You better believe it. Well, very nice. Did you have anything else on that for us before we move on to number 5?
No, I think I'm ready for the last one.
So John's got 2 for 4. I'm 1 for 4. So the best I can do is tie. And if John, you get this right, you seal your win. So let's see what happens.
All right. So which West Region team went the furthest at Nationals in Salt Lake City this past year?
Okay.
We have UCLA, the Lost Boys Quidditch Club, Cal Quidditch, and Salt Lake Quidditch Club.
Wow.
So a question here, Krieger.
Yeah.
Does UCLA ever play against Lost Boys?
So in previous USQ Nationals, there were no college club division splits, but that has been a split now that's happened at Nationals. There is now a club division and a college division. So theoretically, some of these teams could have tied to be furthest, since there's some college, some club, or maybe not.
Well, I guess my question more of was, what would have happened if those two teams played for you?
Oh, so this has happened actually. So in the regular season, teams can still play each other, or like can play college, play club, club play college. And there was a tournament back in December, I think it was, where UCLA sent a team, an unofficial team, to a tournament where there was only other clubs playing. So they were the only college team there. But because they were unofficial, I was able to play for them and Lost Boys. So the tournament director was like, okay with me playing for both, especially since UCLA had a lot of new people and were new. And there was a time where it was UCLA versus Lost Boys.
No way.
Yeah. And in that moment, I was like, oh, I'm going to play for UCLA because I never get to play against my team.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And they needed the help. Like we got this team full of like 5, 6, 7 year vets versus some people who was their first season playing. Like I'm going to side with UCLA in that scenario.
So did Lost Boys end up winning that match?
Oh yes,
Yeah, big time. But how cool to play against, and you probably know kind of the techniques that your players use, and you can kind of anticipate it. But yeah, that's got to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's fantasy in this summer. There's a lot of like fantasy tournaments that happen where like everybody just signs up as individuals, and then like 4 GMs will like draft a team.
Cool.
And one of my like beater partners, because there's 2 beaters per team on the field at one time, and like playing against him is so annoying because I'm like, he knows what I do, and like there's one
you
time
can't do anything.
He faked me out to make me jump because he knows that's like a move I have, but then once I'm in the air, he's like, oh well, you can't do anything here, and then hit me while I was in the air, and I was like, you know me too well.
You're like inside my brain. Get out of there. That's great.
So would you say that he's a master at being the beater?
Oh, John,
Yeah, I think
did we have
I
to
would
go there?
say that he is a master beater.
I'm saying no to that one. Nah, you had to go there. That's probably not the first time you've heard a joke similar to that, is it, Krieger?
Nah.
You know what? I did hit all of those buzzers, but at the same time, I also feel like I also want to give you a round of applause. I both hate it and love it all at the same time. Is what I'm saying. Okay, we got a question to answer. So again, this is the last time. How was the question worded again?
Which West Region team went the furthest at Nationals in Salt Lake City this past season? So it was literally this past April.
This past April, and it was UCLA, Lost Boys Quidditch Club, Cal Quidditch, or Salt Lake Quidditch Club. I would guess that, Krieger, you're probably humble enough that even if it's not UCLA or Lost Boys, you'd probably still include this question. But I'm going to opt on the side that you included this to get a shout out to one of your teams in. So I'm gonna choose the Lost Boys Quidditch Club.
Same.
Just going on that. You're going to choose the same thing?
Yep.
All right. So that means you win, but let's see if Lost Boys Quidditch Club also wins.
All right, so it was a slight trick question in that 2 of these teams tied to go the furthest, and it's the Lost Boys Quidditch Club went to Elite 8 in club, and Cal Quidditch got to the Elite 8 in college.
Wow. So we both did get it right.
Yeah,
and it was so we had a 50-50 shot is what you're saying at that question.
Yeah.
We came through successful. How exciting was that for you?
Truly, like that's the highest level competition of Quidditch I feel like I personally played. And in that Elite 8 game, it was just so much fun. We ended up losing. We didn't make it to the Final Four, but it was one of the most fun games to just be playing at that high level against these other great teams, especially because the East is just generally more well-known than the West in Quidditch. So there's like all these names on that team that I've heard of before, but like, oh, these are such great beaters, such great players. And to be able to play them and be like, oh, I can keep up with them. They're just players. It was just a lot of fun. I'm hoping to make it even further next year.
Well, congratulations on all the success of your various teams. And how long have you been the coach of UCLA Club?
The UCLA last season was my first time ever coaching a team ever. So
all right.
It was a lot of fun, really rewarding in a way that I'd like not experienced before. And UCLA actually got to Sweet 16. Still did pretty well. And I'm also excited to like come back to UCLA after learning like what went wrong and like what I could have improved on this past year.
You've kind of already answered this question, but what is the best way that somebody can support quad ball? Do you get crowds that come out to your game? Can people go out and support if they just want to watch? What can a listener do right now if they want to support the sport?
Yeah, I think the best thing would be looking up a local team on either Major League Quidditch to become Major League Quad Ball or US Quad Ball, and then follow their social media because that's where you'll find when they post about events and like where they're going to be once the season gets going. For USQ, US Quad Ball will have events listed on there. Anytime a tournament is hosted, they have to post it there, and it has to be 2 weeks in advance of the event. So just really going on there, supporting social media, and then going out to games when they do happen, watching when you can, and even like just watching YouTube videos of past games or like highlights, and like sharing that with people and be like, whoa, like look how cool this looks. Like see how like athletic, how this is like actually a sport that like requires like a lot of skill and like talent. And it's yeah, I would say that's it.
Well, I can't promise this is we're about to wrap up, and I can't promise that this will be the last time that I bring up Ultimate again, but that's much the same with Ultimate as someone who played that. When I would try to get people to come out, they were like, but if I showed them a highlight video and they'd be like, oh my gosh, this is legit, that was a selling point. And I'm sure the same is true of these various, I'm going to go and look up some highlights right after we finish this. So that's a fantastic idea. And I have to say, the word community keeps coming to mind for me. It sounds like this Quidditch/quad ball community is very much a thing. It sounds like you probably all support each other. My guess would be that there's, you get along well with your competitors. Maybe I'm assuming, but I would guess that that's a thing because there's sort of that tight-knit community. So, A, is that true? And B, keep doing it if that's the case, because it sounds great.
Yeah. I mean, I think like with any competitive things, like, you get competitive and sometimes things happen on the field. Like, it is a physical sport. People get cards, but I think overall it is an inclusive community. I have friends literally all across the country in Canada because of quad ball, and people that are like, when you're in town, like, can house you for tournaments, and like other people housing people when they come in for tournaments, because like you're already traveling there. Like, if you can help with housing too, perfect. Cool. So I do think like a huge part of it is the community and like really trying to help the sport grow. Because at the end of the day, we all love playing this sport that like is just not well known. And like, it's like takes a lot to like really grow it. Takes the help of everybody. Like, even if the only way you're helping it grow is by just playing or watching, like that's immensely helpful.
Well, I'm about to pat our own back. I'm glad we're doing our part in spreading the word, but no, I'm glad that we could have you on and that you did such a great job of spreading the word. We can't wait to start making money as a podcast so that we can slap a Lack of Genius podcast sponsorship logo on your uniforms. So with that, fingers crossed that we get there for you. But all the success in the world to you, Krieger, on your teams and on your continued voyage. And thanks for taking the time to chat with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been a fun time.
Go Lost Boys. Go UCLA. We'll be rooting for you.
It's the Lack of Genius podcast in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus. That's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast.
So would you say that he's a master at being the beater?